You know Boeing, right? The airplane company? They make the big jets, the ones that take you to Paris or Tokyo. But here's the thing, that's not all they make. Because deep behind those clean hangars and press releases, there's a side of Boeing no one really talks about. It's called Phantom Works. And it's not about passengers, comfort, or economy class. It's about control, power, technology that feels not from this world. Most people think Boeing is just a business, but inside the US government, they call it something else, a strategic asset. Meaning, Boeing doesn't just sell planes, it builds the future of war, sometimes years or even decades before the public finds out. And Phantom Works? That's the company's darkest corner. No one knows exactly where the main facility is. Some say it's buried under the desert in Nevada. Others say it's inside a fake logistics building near Seattle. No official records, no photos. Even employees don't talk about it because they can't. The few who've worked there call it the vault. No phones, no Wi-Fi. When you walk in, your identity basically gets erased. They say every worker gets assigned a code name, and your real name never appears in any internal document. Sounds like a spy movie, right? But this isn't fiction. This is how Phantom Works operates, under layers of secrets thicker than the metal they use to build stealth bombers. The division started during the Cold War, when the US was terrified of losing its tech edge to the Soviets. Back then, Boeing created Phantom Works as a place where engineers could experiment freely. No limits, no budgets, no questions asked. And over the years, that lab became a black hole for ideas too wild for public eyes. Stealth drones before anyone knew what drones were. Hypersonic jets that could circle the planet in under 2 hours. AI flight systems that could decide faster than any human pilot. Most of those projects were never announced. Some were officially canceled. But you know what's funny? The tech still shows up later, inside new government programs with totally different names. Coincidence? Nah, it's the Phantom Works way. Build in the shadows, release in the light when it's convenient. Rumors say even NASA's most classified spacecraft designs have fingerprints from Phantom Works engineers. They supposedly help test propulsion systems that could reach Mars, but without using traditional rocket fuel. Stuff that sounds like science fiction, but when Boeing is involved, it's never just talk. Think about it. Every time NASA announces a joint research project with a private partner, there's a good chance that partner isn't just Boeing, it's the Phantom Works unit hiding behind it. And when people ask questions, the answer's always the same. National security reasons. That phrase is basically American for, we're doing something insane and you're not supposed to know. So let's open that black door, the one nobody's supposed to even know exists. Inside Phantom Works, things don't look like a normal Boeing factory. Forget the shiny hallways and big innovation posters. Here, the walls are cold, gray, covered in security cameras. You walk in and feel like the building itself is watching you. Most of the workers, they don't even know what they're working on. Each person only sees one tiny part of a project, like a puzzle piece. Put together, those pieces create something way bigger and way scarier. Leaked documents talk about a project called Silent Arrow, a stealth drone that can fly without radar detection, release payloads in total silence, and then, get this, self-destruct without leaving a trace. No wreckage, no evidence, nothing. Others mention the Black Wasp, a micro-drone project rumored to be powered by AI. It doesn't just follow commands. It makes its own choices based on real-time data. That means it could, theoretically, decide who's a threat and act before any human approves it. Creepy, yeah, but that's Phantom Works for you. There's also talk about directed energy weapons, basically lasers strong enough to melt through steel from miles away. Phantom Works reportedly built prototypes for the Pentagon years before the public ever heard the term energy weapon. Now the military officially admits they have them, so you gotta ask,
how many more unofficial versions are still locked in Boeing's vaults? And here's where things start to get really weird. Some whistleblowers claim PhantomWorks has been working on something the government doesn't even have a name for: gravity manipulation. Yeah, you heard that right. They're trying to bend gravity. These reports come from people tied to old Pentagon programs like AATIP, the same department that investigated UFO sightings. Apparently, some of those UFOs pilots saw weren't aliens. They were ours. Prototypes made by PhantomWorks, tested in remote desert zones under fake names and flight plans. In 2017, when the US Navy's Tic Tac UFO footage went viral, a few researchers noticed something strange. The shape, the motion, the speed, they matched a design patent Boeing filed in the early 2000s. A patent for an anti-gravity craft. Coincidence? Or did PhantomWorks accidentally become the source of the biggest UFO story in the world? NASA's connection makes this even wilder. Boeing's engineers have always been embedded in NASA programs, from shuttles to deep space missions. But rumors say PhantomWorks used that access to test experimental propulsion systems under space research labels. Basically, spycraft in disguise. Some insiders even claim there's a shared project called Aurora X, a hybrid vehicle that can operate both in the atmosphere and near space. The goal? Create aircraft that can reach anywhere on Earth in minutes and vanish before radar even knows what hit it. And yeah, that sounds like science fiction until you realize the Pentagon already funds near-space defense systems. Guess who builds most of their prototypes? You got it. Boeing. PhantomWorks is like the secret middleman between the military's imagination and the real world. They turn impossible ideas into working machines. And the craziest part? We don't even know half of what they've built. Every time a UFO sighting happens near a US testing range, someone online always says, maybe it's aliens. But the real answer might be scarier. It's us. Our own tech, hidden behind layers of denial, built by a company that the world still thinks just makes airplanes. And if they're really playing with gravity, with drones that think and weapons that fire light instead of bullets, then what's left for the rest of us to imagine? Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. PhantomWorks isn't just a lab, it's a bargain. A silent deal between Boeing and the US government. A trade of secrecy for power. You see, the Pentagon needs people who can build the impossible, and Boeing needs protection, political, financial, and legal. So they made an unspoken pact decades ago. You build it, we hide it. That's why PhantomWorks doesn't need a PR department. It doesn't need investors or hype, because the US military basically keeps it alive, with contracts so classified they don't even show up in official budgets. They call them black budgets, money that leaves Washington, but no one really knows where it goes. Well, most of it ends up in places like PhantomWorks. And if you think that sounds insane, remember this. In 2013, the US government accidentally released a report showing over $50 billion in unaccounted defense spending. $50 billion. That's not missing money, that's hidden innovation. Imagine what kind of tech you can build with that. Whistleblowers who have escaped the system talk about massive underground hangars, long tunnels connecting testing sites, and prototypes that look like something from a sci-fi movie. Triangular craft, silent gliders, aircraft that disappear from radar like ghosts. One former contractor claimed he saw a Boeing craft that could change direction mid-air without turning. It didn't bank, it just snapped into a new angle, like physics didn't apply to it. Another one talked about light-bending surfaces, materials that literally make objects invisible by refracting light perfectly around them. When the Pentagon was asked about it, they laughed it off. But a few months later, a new Boeing patent appeared online. Optical cloaking device for aerial vehicles. Filed, approved, classified. See the pattern? Every conspiracy theory about UFOs, every secret aircraft rumor somehow ends up tracing back to the same company, Boeing, and specifically Phantom Works. NASA knows it, the Air Force knows it, and the Pentagon, they rely on it. Phantom Works isn't just developing aircraft. They're experimenting with how reality itself can be engineered. Energy manipulation, radar absorption, autonomous decision systems that don't need humans anymore. It's like they're building the next step in evolution, not for people, but for machines. Some say Boeing's ultimate goal isn't to dominate the skies, but to leave them behind. Think about that for a second. If you're already building crafts that can leave Earth's atmosphere silently, why stop there?
Whispers online talk about a classified joint mission between Phantom Works and NASA called Project Eclipse, a program meant to test propulsion systems that could travel between Earth and the Moon without using rocket fuel, a field-based drive powered by electromagnetic distortion. That's basically saying Boeing's building ships that bend space itself. Too wild to be true? Maybe. But every time someone digs too deep, the links disappear. Web pages get wiped, whistleblowers go quiet, and the same phrase appears again and again. For national security reasons, this information has been restricted. That's not denial. That's confirmation in disguise. So here's the question nobody in the media asks. If Phantom Works really has technology that advanced, who decides how it's used? Who gets to say what's defense and what's domination? Because at some point, this stops being about planes and drones. It becomes about control. Control of the skies. Control of the data. Control of the truth. And Boeing, through Phantom Works, might already hold more power than any government agency. When you really think about it, that's the scariest part. Not that Phantom Works exists, but that it thrives in total silence. Every now and then you'll see a new headline. Boeing partners with NASA for advanced aerospace research. Sounds normal. But behind those words, there's a door. A door locked by invisible hands. And behind that door, a future that's already been built, tested, and hidden. Maybe one day we'll see it. Maybe one day the truth will slip out. But until then, Boeing's Phantom Works remains what it's always been. A ghost in the machine. Building the impossible, and making sure we never ever know how far they've really gone. And that's the story, or at least the part we're allowed to know. The truth about Boeing's Phantom Works might stay hidden for years, or maybe it's already flying above us right now. If this story blew your mind, don't just scroll away. Smash that like button, drop a comment with what you think Phantom Works is really hiding, and of course, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because next time, we're diving even deeper into the projects that make this one look normal. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay awake, and remember, some secrets aren't meant to stay buried forever.